Blocking, a fascinating part of volleyball where the defending players must correctly read the opponent's intent and then block the ball in order to return it to the opponent's half, ideally to score a straight point.
Blocking is one of the most challenging activities in volleyball, and training it hurts a bit. But don't worry, we will teach you everything in our Internationale Volleybalacademie.
Blocking drills can begin long before any blocks in the children's game can even occur. It all starts with a solid body. Those who want to block well must get an idea of what strong arms and a stabilized core are. For example, if a blocker doesn't strengthen his arms, this is what happens.
As we have indicated, training in the basics of the block can begin already with young children. The basics are a solid core and stretched arms lifted up in front of the face and hands with fingers splayed in extension of the forearms. Then there is the so-called hook. This is the term for a solid core. Arms and legs that resemble a hook in shape. We practice it on the ground, for example, and the children quite enjoy such exercises and may not yet have any idea of the importance of it for future blocking. So we will remember that the prerequisite for the success of the block is a strong core and strong arms. Bringing the hooks and the strength of the torso and arms into play we see in the performance of the top Czech representative in a successful block.
The overball exercise, which is similar to blocking, is performed first on the ground lying down, then standing on a bench. At first it is just strength, then we coordinate the upward movement of the arms in relation to the flying ball. The arms must be as close together as possible, otherwise it turns out like this. This is already an imitation of synchronized arm action against a potential attacker, whom the blocker is trying to prevent from his intention. This is where the Czech opposite hitter learned the strength of the Finnish block.
The next phase of the drill is to establish the correct idea of how the hands should penetrate the opponent's field of play when blocking. This is because setting the correct arm angle is crucial to the success of the block. Start the drill on a low net while standing on the ground. The arms should not rise upwards, but forward up in front of the face. And the hoop will serve us well for this in the beginning. At first we just reach for the ball and pull it to our own side. Then we imitate a block against a thrown over ball. We consistently make sure that the hands, starting with the fingers, penetrate immediately to the other side of the net. If this is not happening, it may look like this. But we'll deal with that in the future.
Then repeat the whole procedure in the jump, initially again on a lower net, so that the children do not have to jump fully, but concentrate on the arm work. Initially, we forgive the children for touching the net, which would be against the rules in the game. But here we are concerned with establishing the correct pattern of arm movement. We do the exercise first with one, then with two balls. The important thing is backward movements of the bent arms, which helps the children to jump higher, but also their movement defines the distance from the net.
There is sometimes a debate about whether to teach children to jump on the block without a swing or with an arm swing. Our opinion is clear. The technique must be similar to the way it is used in the game of the best players, and that means jumping on the block with a swing of the arms.
Then imitate the block with a jump again. For the reasons mentioned above, we are still working on a lower net, but this exercise brings the player very close to what can already be called a block. Here again, it is the case that instead of forearming, there is a lunging and then swinging of the arms against the ball. And that's wrong. In these girls, it will still be quickly eliminated, but if a habit is formed based on a bad movement pattern, it will be very difficult to eliminate in the future.
A similar mistake is if the arms are going correctly, but the wrists are twisted backwards. It just takes a lot of repetition in the correct movement pattern, even if it is not yet a true blocking pattern, and we have to tolerate the fact that maybe kids often brush their hands against the net in an attempt to put their hands on the other side of the net, as in this case.
So we have the basic movement habits established. It will take a while to block like the top players do, because that will also require reading the play correctly, timing the block, finding the right jumping spot, and so on. However, we have done enough so that in the future, bad technique won't be barriers to good blocking.
And now we're going to the high net. Because we need thousands of touches on the ball, during the block we still use the over ball, and even go back to it in adult training during warm-ups and early practice. Kids need to get the feel of a good block, as well as the feel of a good serve-receive, for example. And practicing with the ball does carry with it some risks of finger injuries in kids' volleyball.
The road to good blocking is still a long way off, but we need to start earlier than we previously thought. A good block takes care, courage, and perseverance. And these 14-year-olds have paid with effort and diligence on the one hand, but on the other hand, they already know how great a point achieved by a block tastes.
Stabilize the core and raise the arms upwards in front of the face with hands spread and fingers extended in line with the forearms. We start with an exercise using an overball that mimics blocking by performing it first lying on the ground, then standing on a bench. Coordinate the upward movement of the arms in relation to the flying ball. Create the correct mental image of how the hands should penetrate the opponent's court when blocking. Begin the exercise by practicing on a low net while standing on the ground. Next, imitate a block against a thrown over ball while standing on the ground. Reach for the over ball on a lower net while jumping. Block the over ball on a lower net while jumping. Block the over ball on a net at the normal height.
And what's next? Of course, we will continue to focus on blocking. The agenda of the next episode will include blocker movements, specifically how to handle situations where you need to move into position for the block. After that, we will start blocking with a real ball. Initially, this will be in controlled conditions, because if the children's hands are not prepared, block training can be very dangerous. Let's not forget that children can start spiking hard at an early age, but their ability to block correctly is usually not yet developed to match this.